Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Fundamentalist Fails. I'm your host, Mark Reed. We've got another case of uh, Christian wildness going on out there, and things cannot be better. It's Friday for me. It may be Thursday for you, but it's Friday for me, and it's my favorite day because I get to look at some weird religious stuff. And yeah, this one I've got. I've been having this one in the chamber for a little while. I haven't 100% decided that if it's going to be good or it's going to be terrible. It's either going to be amazing or it's going to be terrible because hey, I'm not a big fan of you know sort of AI stuff as well. It's the voice, right? It's the voice that grates, and that sort of that you can always, well, I can always tell. I'm not sure if it's you. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's my particular form of autism. But that sort of that voice just annoys the crap out of me. So look, I'm gonna do this one for as long as I can. Um, I think it's really important to draw attention to the fact that hey, um, the rules against AI on this platform aren't exactly uniform for everybody. Let's face it. And this one I really want to talk about because um, I don't know. It was kind of weird, but this one was 2 weeks ago. They put this out. Now this is Grace for Purpose. Now, Grace for Purpose appears to be just a Christian slop channel, but they do they sort of thread throughout it stuff. But as I said, I will try to hang in there because I do want to talk about this. The name of this video is 2026 is already decided. What will happen? So, you got to know, I love my prediction videos. I love the ones that make predictions because we can go back and have a look at them and they're always damn wrong. But I did want to do sort of this kind of ridiculous this ridiculous kind of producing, oh, what's happening in the world? It's a spiritual war kind of thing. Yeah, they are creepy. You know what? It kind of, Jess, it kind of reminds me of um uh, sort of they're an uncanny valley, but usually uncanny valley is for like looking at something, right? So uncanny valley is when the graphics are a lot like a human, but they're not human enough. Like there's this weird sort of valley in between complete cartoonish and abstract and, realistic. Like if it's cartoonish, we don't feel disturbed. Like for instance, the Pixar movies, Incredibles and things like that. We're like, oh yeah, that's fine. If it is completely real, then we've got no problem either. But it's that approaching that, but not quite making it. It's like an uncanny valley for voice, right? No breathing, no emphasis, no inflection. Right, right. Well, I think there is. I think the more modern one there is, but it's all the same inflection. It's all the same emphasis. Like it's that repeated patterns. Yeah, I know. So this might be terrible. I'm prepared to risk it. I apologize. I will be Don't worry, it won't be continuous. I'll be stopping it to deride it heavily. I will be deriding it all over the place. So don't be scared about that. But yeah, I just, this kind of thing is just, why don't I have another one for that? Why is it there? I should be able to I should be able to move myself up to the middle or something. No, that's not what I want to do. That's definitely not what I want to do. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Okay, beautiful. All right, I found it. It's okay. Everyone relax. Relax. Just chill. All right, fantastic. Yeah, so this is 2026 is already decided. Look, I got to talk about these people because seriously, this is Grace for Purpose. And if you're unfamiliar with Grace for Purpose, So am I. So is everybody. But something I want to show you, right? Grace for Purpose, right? They've got like almost 4 million subscribers, 2.1k videos, right? Like they have produced such notable feature film as Enoch, the movie, the film that shocked the world. Enoch, the movie, is out. You can watch it today. And they also produced Daniel, the movie, the film that shocked the world. Why do they have so many subscribers? Like, it is just, this is all that it is. Revelation warned us. Like, you can see it's just like, if you can't see, it's AI generated stuff. So I think that, you know, that maybe Google isn't taking down Christian channels with AI slop. I don't know, but it's very strange. It's very strange. Wow. All right. Well, Sith, I'll do my best, all right? If you're more relaxed, you'd be asleep. Look, I'll do my best, all right? I'll try to talk monotone. But this is predictions for 2026, or it's already decided, and apparently what will happen, and they're talking about Davos. So if you're unfamiliar, Davos is the World Economic Forum. It's weird that they're talking about it. Yeah.
So we want a piece of ice for world protection, and they won't give it. We've never asked for anything else, and...
Is it me? Or do you get the feeling that 2026 will bring about more than the world expects?
That is true of every single year. That is true of every single year in history. You know, we sort of expect things, and more happens in that year than what we expect. I'll tell you that. Do you get a feeling that the year will bring about more than we expect? Yes, because that happens every year. That happens every year. Look, I don't know. I don't know, Jess. It's just, it's like, but these have these have comments after it. It's absolutely wild. Well, I mean, look, I get what you're saying, but you know, the video that I'm watching had 157k views. Right? Hang on a second. Hang on. So look, it had 157k views, right? And look, Lord have mercy on us. Yes, the elites have a plan. Every country's elites, but guess what? God's got a better one. Amen. To all the children of God, we are waiting for God to come. I am so ready for the Lord to come back. God help us. Grounded in God. God knows everything that will take place even in the end. The only hope is in Jesus Christ. I'm struggling. Please pray for me. Well, I mean, please send help. I love God. Yes, God help us. What was that one? The cover says it all. I rebuke the devil in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Can you rebuke the devil by comment section? I wasn't aware you could do that. Does that work? I don't know. Look, I knew you could rebuke the devil, but I didn't know you could do it. I didn't know you could do it via comment section. Maybe it's a bot. Does a bot rebuking it's yeah, bots making videos, bots watching the videos, bots commenting. Yeah, absolutely, Jess. Yeah, so the question becomes, wasn't there like a scenario where it's just everything's bots? Like there's no way to prove that everybody you interact with on the internet is not a bot. So it's just everything, it's bots all the way down. Right? But look, I don't know, Jedi. I know channels do. I have no idea. You know, like I've got no idea. I don't even know how you'd go about doing that kind of thing. But, you know, So much for the crackdown on AI stuff. But I think they've gotten around it by maybe intermingling it with stock footage kind of thing. I think that is, I don't know. Like, the wow.
I mean, think about it.
I'm thinking
At
about
any
it.
given moment, there are so many events happening. Events that divide.
Yeah, like, okay, so North Korea's been a problem for a very long time. This isn't a 2026 thing. This isn't a 2026 thing at all. Like, this is just sort of putting up on the screen what people are worried about. We've been worried about North Korea before this guy was born. Like, seriously,
Events that push a certain ideology. But here's the thing. How do we make sense of this kind of world?
well, that's a good question. That's a good question. How do we make sense of this? Look, I'm not saying that the world isn't confusing at the moment. I'm just saying that, hey, maybe think, and it's weird they started off with Trump on Davos, and I wanted to like, because that was so baffling. Like, this was one of the most baffling things I think. Hold on, I've got sort of a highlights from Trump at Davos, and you've got to see this shit. It is just weird.
Without us, most of the countries don't even work. After the war, we gave Greenland back to Denmark. How stupid were we to do that? But we did it. But we gave it back. But how ungrateful are they now? Europe and those countries have to do their thing. They have to get out of the...
What, after World War II? That you didn't, like, just conquer the country after world, like, what
culture that they've created over the last 10 years. It's horrible what they're doing to themselves. They're destroying themselves. Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your prime minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. Emmanuel Macron, I watched him yesterday with those beautiful sunglasses. What the hell happened? So other presidents have spent, whether foolishly or not, trillions and trillions of dollars on NATO and gotten absolutely nothing in return. We've never asked for anything.
yeah
It's
they
always a one-way street.
yeah they haven't spent trillions and trillions on NATO. They've spent it on their military budget. Like, that's the thing. It's not, it's like, it's so weird that is what he's saying. It's so strange.
Now they want us to help them with Ukraine. I believe they're at a point now where they can come together and get a deal done. And if they don't, they're stupid. That goes for both of them.
Wow. Like, one of the most unhinged, weirdest speeches in the history of the World Economic Forum. Look, are there dodgy deals happening in the World Economic Forum? Yeah, probably. Yeah. But it's mostly Pete. But to have a leader go up and not talk a single, like, not even one mention of economic policy whatsoever, right? Like, he didn't even mention, like, why the tariffs need to be implemented, what advantages they had, even if he lied about it. But he just had this rambling speech about Greenland, which he called Iceland a couple of times, and it had nothing to do with fiscal policy. It was weird. It's so strange. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yes, that you did ask for help after 9/11. So the thing was, I don't think that was Article 5 being invoked. Um, and I believe France refused. Because, oh no, Article 5 was invoked. So maybe he's still angry that France refused to invade Iraq because, look, so here's the thing. Article 5 was invoked, and so afterwards, apparently they oh no, it was Afghanistan. Yes, I remember. So they invoked Article 5 in order to invade Afghanistan and get the perpetrators. Bush kind of tried to make the coalition of the willing to invade Iraq, but France refused under the idea that Iraq never attacked America. Like, you could make a case that because Osama bin Laden was behind 9/11, that Afghanistan, and he was hiding in Afghanistan, that they attacked, and he was a leader of sort of the movement there, Al Qaeda there. You could make an argument that they had attacked America and invoke Article 5, but the Iraq War was not Iraq attacking America, and that's why a lot of European countries refused. But a lot of American allies didn't. Australia being one, UK was there, Canada was there. Like, a lot of countries agreed to help, and it just, they don't remember it.
How do we understand it from a biblical perspective?
How do we understand it from a biblical perspective? So what is a sort of religious book written over 2,000 years ago going to tell us about now? Not much. Not much. Like, it doesn't, if we're going to understand what's happening in the world, we could crack a Bible and see if we could, decrypt some cryptic message, or we could pay attention to actual studies done in, say, I don't know, how democracies fall. Because that is a lot more prescient to what is happening right now. And sort of, so people that study the decline of democracy into totalitarian systems are ringing alarm bells, especially people that have a great deal of knowledge of how Germany fell from a democracy into a fascist government. And look, I could get started on this for ages, but I don't know why we need to understand it from a biblical perspective. I'm right up there with all the Christians that say, hey, Bible is a spiritual book. It doesn't really concern with, everyday things. You can't really apply it to, geopolitics. And I would agree, right? Like, because there are Christians that say, hey, it's for spirituality. It's for your personal spiritual development. We can't really apply it to geopolitics, financial markets, things like that. That's not what it's designed to do. And I would agree.
The purpose of this video is to show you that there is a spiritual side to...
Why are the ducks upside down? Why are the ducks upside down? Black Cayunga, colored Muscovy. Are these horses? The novice will do well to be something. The mother's yeah, okay. What's happening in the world? Okay, tell me, oh great and wise AI, what is happening in the world?
What's happening in the world? Aside...
That is not the world. That is the moon. That's the moon. That does not look like any continents I've ever seen. That does look like the moon. Why are you pointing at the moon in newspaper? Okay.
That changes everything.
Oh, everything.
Right now, as we're talking, nearly 3,000 of the world's most powerful leaders are gathering in Davos, Switzerland. A snowy alpine resort where presidents, prime ministers, CEOs, and international organizations...
Wow, you can really hear that AI inflection if you speed it up. Because I got this at 1.125, and you can really hear that AI voice if you just speed it up a bit, right? Like, wow. Hang on a sec. I'm going to play it while it's slower just to see what it's like.
Heads meet every year for something called the World Economic Forum. This year, 2026...
Yeah, if you speed it up, you can really hear that AI crap go.
The theme is a spirit of dialogue. Sounds nice, right?
What? Yeah? I mean, a spirit of dialogue. They're basically saying, hey, let's talk, not fight. Okay. I mean, that's what they've been doing at the World Economic Forum for ages. Do I think that there's nothing nefarious about it? No. I think that there are people there that want to transfer wealth to themselves. I think there's a lot of problems with the World Economic Forum, but let's be realistic about this. We still need a way that world leaders can meet and hash out economic agreements.
Call for cooperation during a time when the world feels increasingly divided.
That handshake on the left, bottom left, looks very, very...
And when the world feels increasingly divided...
sensuous. What is happening down there?
And complicated. But here's what I want to ask you. Why should you care? Why should Christians pay attention to what happens in that room? Well, before I answer that from a biblical perspective, I want you to...
Well, everybody should pay attention to what's happening in a room of an economic forum because, unfortunately, monetary policy and fiscal policy affects us all. Unfortunately. I wish they didn't. But they kind of do. And that's a problem with capitalism. It's basically ruled by whoever's got the money. So, I have doubts that they're after, a peace and love between everybody, but we've got to focus on the actual problems, not whatever they're talking. Wow.
First, understand that at this meeting, there are roughly 3,000 leaders there.
Yes.
That includes close to 400 top political figures and dozens of heads of state.
Yes.
We're talking about President Trump, the leaders of Germany, Canada, China, Ukraine, and dozens of other countries. We're talking about the heads of the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the United Nations, and NATO. We're talking about the CEOs of Microsoft, Nvidia, Google, Meta, and hundreds of other major corporations. These are the people who make decisions that shape our world. They're discussing real issues: economic inequality, geopolitical tensions, trade disputes, artificial intelligence, how to deploy new technology, and so on.
Well, I mean, I saw a guy give a speech at the World Economic Forum that was not well watched, and he sort of was a fiscal expert that said, nobody is talking about taxes. Why isn't anybody talking about the fact that the rich are barely taxed while the thing, you've got to talk about this, and nobody is. So do I think that the World Economic Forum is just a force for good? Absolutely not. I think that they skirt issues that really should be drawn upon because it's in their own best interests. And I think that, corporate interests have way too much of a voice in forums like this. But, I think that we've got to, this is wild.
These are the conversations that have the potential to massively influence what happens in your country, your community, and your life over the next year and beyond. Now, part of the conversation at Davos will be about global cooperation or conflict. And it's in settings like these where it's decided whether the world moves toward more cooperation or more division. That affects peace and security. It affects whether conflicts get resolved or escalate. It affects whether countries work together or work against each other. And when you consider that world tensions are at an all-time high...
Well, I mean, considering Trump just went in there and basically threatened the entire world, and all of these allies or people, the countries that are supposed to be his allies, it's kind of... It's weird. It's weird. It's kind of very, very weird.
As one publication reports, global military spending now amounts to $2.7 trillion, an annual increase of 9.4%, the steepest rise since the end of the Cold War.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. That's, that's largely because there's some kind of idiot running around threatening to invade Greenland and basically undermining the stability of the world. And he already launched an attack on Venezuela. It's not hard to see why military spending is going up, especially when he's threatening to invade Canada as well. Which Canada, yes, it's part of NATO, but it's also part of the Commonwealth. So that would trigger probably World War III. It's not Like, this isn't a conspiracy. Like, this isn't, oh, these leaders are working behind the scenes to increase military. No, Trump is openly threatening other democratic nations. That is why military spending is increasing. Because there's an idiot out there who is basically being a belligerent, imperialist, and that causes other nations to want to defend themselves against the belligerent imperialist who is threatening not only every country around them, but random countries, like Greenland, like Denmark.
Countries around the world racing to increase war spending, either in response to perceived threats from Russia, China, and the US, and the events of 2026 alone are likely to persuade leaders from democracies and dictatorships of the need to spend more.
Yes. So it's not really, I mean, Russia, yes, a little bit. They've sent drones into Europe. It's concerning for Europe. I agree with that. But China, not really, because of China. Like, of those three countries, China has been the least aggressive lately. And yes, they've sent, ships into the South China Sea. It's not like that. Then we're not concerned at all about them. But China hasn't invaded anybody lately. Not lately. And they're always threatening Taiwan, granted. But, out of those three, it's really China that is the least threatening. And that's worrying, because the US shouldn't be this belligerent and it's wild. It's absolutely wild.
Now, why is this important for the Christian of today?
Oh, good question.
Well, the Bible in Ephesians 2, verse 2 says, in which you once walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air.
The prince of the power of the air. Is this Hogwarts? I don't know. This is weird. I think it's Doctor Strange, people. It's Doctor Strange flying away.
The Spirit, who now works in the sons of disobedience. In his sermon titled, The Prince of the Power of the Air, John MacArthur explained Ephesians 2, verse 2 like this.
John MacArthur. Now, as I recall, John MacArthur had a bit of a dodgy past. John MacArthur, wasn't he, I'll just look him up. It was a sort of a MacArthur. Yeah, John F. MacArthur. He was the radio guy, right? Yeah, Grace to You. So I think he was sort of a young earth creationist and a bit of a kook. Let's see. So in 2012, MacArthur said, it's a little strange that we have such an aversion to slavery because historically there has been abuses. To throw out slavery as a concept simply because there have been abuses, I think, is to miss the point. Working for a gentle, caring, loving master was the best of all possible worlds. If you had the right master, everything was taken care of. Slavery is not objectionable if you have the right master. Huh. And he also sort of was against COVID-19 stuff. He stated that 94% of the deaths attributed to COVID-19 could not directly be attributed to the disease alone. Los Angeles County sued the church over its refusal to close down. So yeah, he's an absolute moron who is a slavery apologist. Yeah, so they're going, this is what this slavery apologist said. Yeah, wise words from the guy who had no problems with slavery.
World does not here represent simply the physical creation, but the world order, the world's system of values and way of doing things, the world's course. And as Paul makes clear, the course of this world.
Wow, okay, so this is egregiously, like, I don't... either this is AI or they ripped it off the Diablo trailer. I don't know which. I don't know which. Look, this is egregiously AI. Like I warned you up front.
follows the leadership and design of Satan, the prince of the power of the
Oh,
air.
of course it does. Yeah, so yes, there is a world trading order. Like after World War II, the Allied nations who basically won the World War implemented a system of trading so that, you know, if you sent a ship out, it would take its cargo to where it could get to, and you know it would be protected by these nations who would guarantee sort of a system of trade throughout the world, and that's referred to as the global trading order. Now, that's not a bad thing, because after World War II, the creation of the United Nations, the sort of implementation of the Geneva Convention, we kind of realized we needed a way to prevent future conflicts. Because World War II was so destructive, it was so incredibly bad that we kind of go, yeah, we do not want that to happen again. Like, we do not want it. Now, you can have problems with the way that the World Trading Order is set up. You can have problems with the role that America plays, the role that other countries play. It is better than another world war. And I think that people lose sight of that, hey, if we tear down institutions to nothing instead of reforming them, it is quite likely through imperialist expansion that we will get into another world war, and whether or not humanity will survive it, it will be absolutely catastrophic. So that's why it's there.
Furthermore, the Bible in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4 says, "In their case, the God of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers, to keep them from seeing the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ."
Yeah, none of this is related to the current situation, right? Like, none of it is. It's just, it could be applied to anything at any time. It's just basically reading verses and going, ooh, isn't that a coincidence? It's talking about today. How?
Who is the image of God. Now think about that for a moment.
Yeah.
The God of this age, the God of this world, Satan, has prevented unbelievers from seeing the light of the gospel.
So if a demon has, or the God of this world, which apparently is Satan, has stopped people from seeing the truth, why do you punish them, right, for being tricked? See, this makes no sense in their own theology, because you're basically saying, hey, you've got perfectly good people, ordinary people who are you know, doing the best for their communities. They're working hard. They're doing their thing. They're saying, hey, be peaceful and take care of your neighbor, and doing all of this good stuff, which they will happily admit atheists can do and do, right? Like, Christians will say, hey, not all atheists are bad. They're good people. They do this. They've just been fooled, kind of thing. And he says, oh, you know, Satan prevents them from seeing. And then God punishes them, like sends them to hell for eternity. It's like when you have somebody, right, and it's like you have a person running a scam, right, and they scam somebody into supporting them. Like, just say you've got somebody who is a you know, some kind of criminal enterprise, and they trick somebody into giving them their money, and then they use that money for horrible ends, you know, to scam more people or something. And then you basically, it's the authorities going, okay, well, we're going to go after that criminal. And God says, hey, I'm going to imprison that criminal, and I'm also going to torture the person that they tricked. Why? Because reasons? Because why not? Because they were tricked. How dare you be tricked? So it makes no sense whatsoever from a moral framework. You take all the fun out of punishing people. Yeah.
Now, in case you didn't know, The devil is very influential on this earth.
No. The devil's influential? I never knew that. I never knew that.
Whether you see it or not, whether you believe it or not, the devil can and has influence on the ideals, opinions.
Yeah, what the hell are these symbols? I don't think that's real writing. Acroban Manajod Xianggong. Yeah, okay. Yes, obviously. He influences billboards to make no sense whatsoever. That's the devil's influence.
And standards in this world. And that's why the Bible says the God of this world. The devil has his tentacles in the world's philosophies. They're in so many institutions. Now, the Bible has a lot to say about leaders and authority. In Romans 13, Paul writes, "Let every person be subject to the governing authorities."
Look at these dudes in lockstep. Look, here's the thing. Paul, this isn't even from Jesus, right? This is from Paul. All of this has been from Paul. Romans, Ephesians, it's all from Paul, right? And Paul, writing to the Romans, he had a specific purpose in mind. And that was, hey, Romans, please don't, slaughter the Christians. So he's basically saying, hey, do what the Romans say, because they're gonna destroy us. It's so weird that they're sort of taking these as, well, this is how you should behave.
For there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean every leader is perfect.
Okay, so that arises the problem, right? They're basically saying, oh, you have this horrible leader that is doing the wrong thing. Well, that person's been put there by God, so do what they say. Okay, the whole idea that even terrible leaders somehow are part of God's plan is part of the problem. And I want to tie this into what they showed earlier with Trump. The question arises when you look at the current administration and the government of why do the most zealous Christians follow someone like Trump? Right? I was watching a Christian thing the other day, just to try and find material and things to do on the channel. He was sort of talking about how the evangelical Christians, it doesn't matter if Trump comes up in the Epstein files. Even if they have photos of him doing the worst stuff ever comes up in the Epstein files, they don't care. And he had a argument that sort of said, hey, we already knew Trump was liable for, sexual assault, and he was liable for all these horrible things. He was already liable for them. He was found culpable by a jury. He was already a felon. It doesn't matter what he does. And I boggled my mind over why. Why would they still do, perhaps it is verses like this, give authority to their leaders, no matter how bad they are. And when that is doctrine, to obey even terrible leaders, that's a problem. That is a problem. Because, nothing he can do. And part of it, and I wanna sort of articulate this because I haven't really said it before. Could part of it be that they know how bad he is? They know how terrible he is, but because they think it's the end times, they will still sort of back him because that's what the Bible, or their interpretation of the Bible, the Revelations, end times, that's what they need to do to get to heaven. They have to have somebody who is horrible. I don't know. It's weird to me.
Or that we should blindly follow whatever they say. But it does mean that God cares about authority structures. God cares about leadership. God cares about how power is used in the world.
Really? Really? Because if God cared about how power is used in the world, I don't, like, why? What has he done to change power being abused in the world? Because I haven't seen a lot of it. Mostly I have seen ordinary people rise up against abuses of power. I have never seen a God rise up against abuses of power. So if a God cares about how power is used in the world, why doesn't he do something about it? It's very strange. I don't, yeah.
And throughout Scripture, we see God speaking to leaders. He speaks to kings and rulers, and he holds them accountable.
How? How does he hold it? Like, we see that in the Bible. How does he hold rulers accountable? How? We don't know that that God deposed any of these rulers. What?
He calls them to justice and righteousness, and he calls his people to pay attention to what leaders are doing. In the Old Testament, the prophets were constantly calling out leaders who were unjust or who were leading.
That man is levitating a spear. You didn't think I wouldn't notice, but I did. That man has some kind of magic power over his spear.
People away from God's ways.
Or is it a sword? I think it just turned into a sword. I think the AI has risen. It has raised its ugly head. Hold it. Watch this guy in the background. This is a magic man, ladies and gentlemen. A magic man.
Old Testament, the prophets were constantly calling out leaders who were unjust or who were leading people away from God's ways.
I think it turned into a corn dog. I think it actually turned into a corn dog.
They weren't just spiritual advisors. They were engaged with the political and social realities of their time. They understood that what leaders do matters. Jesus himself engaged.
Yeah, so isn't it funny that currently the Christian leaders are endorsing a guy who has, basically trampled over their beloved 10 Commandments. Like, you shall not lie, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not do... Like, seriously. Thou shalt not steal. Isn't it weird that they'll make videos saying this, but support a dude that has absolutely done all of the worst things according to Christian principles? Hell, he cheated on his wife while she was pregnant with his son. I mean, what the hell?
With political and religious authorities. He spoke truth to power. He called out corruption and injustice.
Yes, all of the worst rulers of the past are dead. Checkmate. Yes, but so are the prophets that called them out. So, uno reverse. Uno reverse, Sapphire. Uno reverse. So are the prophets.
He didn't withdraw from the world and pretend that leadership didn't matter. He engaged with it. And in the New Testament, we see the early church praying for leaders. In 1 Timothy, Paul writes, I urge then, first of all, that petitions, prayers, intercession, and thanksgiving be made for all people.
That's a hellscape of uncanny valley right there. Yeah, I mean, okay, if Jesus engaged with the world, okay, great. I get that.
And all those in authority, that we may live peaceful and quiet.
No, you're not big. Let's call it a draw. Did I just cut out? Hey. God smote my connection. God smote my connection. I am smitten. I'm smitten. I am smited. Wow, okay. Maybe Jesus is calling me out. Oh, all right.
Lives in all godliness and holiness. I mean, think about that. Paul is telling the early church to pray for leaders. Not because the leaders were perfect, not because the church agreed with everything they did, but because what leaders do affects people's lives. And prayer matters.
No, prayer does not matter. Prayer does nothing. You win after all. Yeah, no, I consider me beaten. Consider me absolutely smitten. I am slapped down by God. Yes, absolutely. The God of the interwebs. Look, prayer doesn't help. Prayer doesn't help. Like we have actions we can do. We can exercise rights. We can do protests. We can do things. Like, but the problem is these fuckers, they just sit down and pray and hope things get better. That doesn't change anything. And even worse, they're like, oh, well, this is a terrible leader, but my church leaders are saying, hey, I know he's imperfect, but he's God's chosen tool. The only thing we agree on is that these authority figures are tools. All right, that's the only thing we agree on. You know, but they will listen to their church leaders in the face of all evidence that you know these authority figures are chosen and you know chosen people. And then the other ones that work for their best interest are of the devil because of what their religious leaders say. Pray or pray. Take your pick, Sith. Take it. Look, whichever one works for you. Absolutely. But, you know, prayer does nothing. Praying does something. Please do not prey on other people. Please, please. I'm begging you.
So, from a biblical perspective, why does a gathering of world leaders in Davos matter? Because their decisions influence our world in real ways. Because we're called in Scripture to watch and pray. Because we're called to engage with the world wisely and faithfully. Because we're called to speak truth and pursue holiness. Now, here's what I want to be clear about. Paying attention to what world leaders are doing doesn't...
So I'm wondering if this got around the sort of AI ban because of, you know, interspersing it with stock footage that's not AI. That's what, you know, that's what I'm guessing, right? So you have conflicting things in there. And I think One by Land is picking it up. You have them saying, hey, you know, leaders aren't perfect, but obey the leaders in power. And this was in Romans, obey the leaders in power because they are chosen by God, right? And that's sort of the thing of Romans, because he is talking to the Romans, right? He's basically trying to convince them that Christians are a legitimate religion that will benefit Rome, that will benefit the Roman empires. The whole idea, though, what they're saying is, if your leaders are doing things wrong, call them out, but pray about it.
Doesn't mean living in fear. It doesn't mean being paranoid or anxious. It does not mean thinking that everything is a conspiracy or that the world is falling apart. That's not what I'm saying.
Well, I would agree with that. But when you look at who falls for conspiracies, I mean, he just cited a guy who was a young Earth creationist, right? Like, young Earth creationism is almost at the conspiracy tier. Man, I really should do a video over conspiracy tiers. A conspiracy tier of flat Earth. It is almost that it uses the same arguments, it uses the same flaws in logic, it uses the same conspiratorial thinking. It is right up there. And he just cited him, you know, cited a young Earth creationist as somebody to pay attention to. John MacArthur, right? So, you know, him saying, oh, don't engage in conspiratorial thinking. So there are conspiracy theories and there are conspiracies. I think conspiracy theories are... It's kind of odd because we can't just believe every conspiracy idea that crosses our path, right? We can't just do that. We can't just go, oh, well, somebody thinks that, you know, monkeys are stealing cell phones to create a nuclear device in the zoo. You know, that is, you know, we can't just believe everything we hear, but there's certainly conspiracies out there. The whole idea is that there is a cabal of influential people running a child trafficking ring and leveraging it for power over society was a conspiracy theory, but that turned out to be true. That is true. And we're not looking at it hard. Like, I have a lot to say about that. I'm probably not going to do it in this segment. I want to keep it kind of light, but they're ignoring the actual conspiracy to go down these conspiracy theory loopholes. The whole thing about there being a dungeon underneath a pizza place is not true. But what is like incredible is that we know from the Epstein files that have been released that is mostly true. There is like the absolutely wildest thing about that to me is that people like Steve Bannon, who is all throughout the files, right? He is so prevalent to the files. Donald Trump, 38,000 mentions of his name. He is all throughout those files, right? All of these people. Now, we also know that Epstein was really close with one of the co-founders of 4chan. So to me, what it sounds like has happened and what seems to have happened, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, right? This is only my opinion. What seems to have happened, in my opinion, is that people like Steve Bannon, people like Epstein, people like the co-founder of 4chan, basically what they were doing, they seem to have taken the rumors and weaponized those rumors to implicate other people so they can get off, they can shift blame away from themselves. So instead of trying to quash the rumors, they seem to have used the religious right and the far right-wing 4chan crowd to redirect that suspicion onto other people, which is wild. And now all of this is coming out because we can see where they've had conversations with Steve Bannon. We can see they've had conversations with these millionaires, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, all of the people behind Trump, all of them. And the amount this has influenced the entire world is horrifying. Like, it is actually terrifying. And look, just for the record, I don't know what to do about this. I got to be honest with you. I don't know what to do. It seems like this is too big for anybody to handle. Right? This seems like it goes so far up the chain. But I do want to say that this is not going to go away. This is not going to go away. It's not going to be buried. People are going to be talking about this forever. Like, this is bigger than Watergate. It's bigger than anything we've ever seen before. But I think that people who will now run on... So if you're unaware, Poland has just started an investigation into anybody connected to it. Anybody in Poland that is connected to it. You're probably going to see people leave because they have started an investigation openly. And I think every country in the world should be doing this. Every single country in the world. Every single one. And I am disappointed that my government hasn't, and I am pissed off, and I think everybody's pissed off. I think everybody is disgusted. Everybody is absolutely furious that the American, what could only generously be called the Justice Department, sat on this for a couple of decades. I am so mad that they sat on this. And, you know, I think that, if you run, if a person run on, hey, we will start an investigation, they will absolutely win. They will absolutely win. Because people, you know, it's all that people are talking about. It's all that people are talking about. That is all that people are talking about is the Epstein files. If Trump thought, and to see Trump sit there and go, oh, we should just move on. It's all over. It's all done with. It has not even been touched. It is not over. It is still going to go on. People are going to be talking about this constantly. And as well they should. As well they should. Because this is unbelievable. It is so egregiously unbelievable. And if this Epstein thing does not get addressed, then democracy's over. That is the end of democracy. Because we cannot have a democracy when a upper class of people, an elite section of people, are just flagrantly breaking the law with no repercussions, no accountability, no anything. That will not exist concurrently. And I don't think it will. Like, for me, like, oh, democracy over. No, I don't think it will. I think this will be addressed. Oh shit! Sorry, I'm talking too much. Look, I'll do that. It's my show. I can. How dare you suggest I can't? I only pay attention. Yeah, Hooligan, mem for 26 months. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you. I live this channel, and the main host is okay too. There is so many spelling mistakes in there, but I'm gonna forgive you. I'm gonna be like Jesus and forgive you. And you won't even have to believe in me for me to forgive you. How awesome is that? Look, I can do something that God can't. I can forgive you without you believing in me. Isn't that cool? Isn't that awesome? It's a superpower. It's a superpower. Conspiracy theories are for the weak because shit rolls downhill. I expect it would look like conspiracy if everyone is shitting on you. Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. I get what you mean, but I mean, sometimes, like with Christians, sometimes everyone's shitting on you because you're being an asshole. Like, it's not a conspiracy. It's just people are pissed off at you. Conspiracies suggest that something's going on in the background, unseen, and, you know, for a nefarious purpose. QAnon may have been a Bannon and 4chan conspiracy to declare. Yes, that could be true. Yes, and I've heard the Mossad connection. I don't know. I haven't heard credible evidence of it. I know that Epstein had a lot of connections to Israeli power, but he had a lot of connections to a lot of power everywhere. Right? I've heard that he could have been a Mossad guy. He could have been a Kremlin guy, like a spy for Russia. You know, there's so much floating around. It's wild. It's wild. Yeah, even the UK is investigating some of their people in the Epstein files, and Starmer taking heat for knowingly appointing an Epstein associate. Yes. And Starmer says that he like, I've been watching too much of this One by Land. Like, forgive me, I've been watching too much of this. It's kind of the thing that is you know, happening at the moment. It is the major topic. So Starmer says that he questioned the associate about his relationship with Epstein, and he says he has documentation of that meeting that showed that he lied about it. So if Starmer can produce that documentation, which says that, I can't remember his name. It was Mountbatten, I think was the guy's name. If he lied about it, then I don't blame Starmer, right? It's very hard to, you know, I think the guy's name is Mountbatten. I think so. But why? I think that or was Mountbatten the Andrews surname? I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, like it just depends. It just depends on what Starmer can prove about the interview and the questions that he asked that person. If he lied, I can understand where Starmer's coming from. But yeah, he might get caught in the fallout. I get it. It sucks. But we've got to go and investigate. Like, if he's got to step down as PM while they investigate, so be it. It sucks for the English. They've had so many prime ministers recently. It's ridiculous. Epstein is kicking up a cloud of confusion, turning people off participation. Without participation, the status quo will rule. Yeah, it really is. It's a problem. It's a problem. Mossad is all over the Epstein files. Russia is a hoax. No FSB, GRU, KGB involvement. Look, I'm not sure about that. I don't know, and that's part of the problem, right? You've got a Department of Justice, what could only generously be called a Department of Justice, sort of releasing this confusing file, but they're basically saying, well, there's nothing in it. There's no one to prosecute. And there are definitely actionable stuff in there, like really, really bad stuff. And they're saying, oh, there's nothing to see. While we're all seeing it. It's wild. And it's not the only thing people are talking about. Definitely talking about other stuff as well. But this is going to, if this doesn't take down, influential people, I can't see how democracy in America and in around the world survives this. And the problem is, here's the problem. The problem is that Russia and, these sort of authoritarian leaders around the world have been saying, hey, people of America, Australia, Great Britain, everyone's corrupt. Everyone's corrupt. You don't have any freedom. And this is how I think this is how that right-wing pipeline sort of works. You convince people that there is no hope to have free and fair elections, leaders, society, right? Like, it's all corrupt. Someone's always going to take advantage of someone else. There is no, justice. There is no point to trying to get to a place where there is no corruption. So if there is no corruption and someone's always going to be stomping the boot on somebody else, be on the winning side, right? Don't be on the side that's having your face stomped. Do the stomping, right? And I think this is how the right-wing pipeline works. It kind of convinces people that there is no hope for freedom, justice, equality. So be a stomper, not a stompee. And then it convinces them, hey, you're a young white male. You don't want to be stomped down by the, Somalians or whatever. You've got to get them first. And I think that is sort of the way that it progresses. But it really plays in, this entire thing really plays into the authoritarians' argument that, hey, everything's corrupt. Everybody's taking advantage of you. You think you're in a democracy where, truth and freedom and justice are upheld, and it's a lie, right? So it's in a way, it is really bad for democracy. But I think there is an opportunity here to show that it is resilient enough to overcome it. But that's that's for people to fight for. We've got to get people in who, talking to my wife the other day, I'm sorry, tangents in the chat, right? Tangents in the chat. To my wife, we need the untouchables, right? We need the untouchables. We need like Elliot Ness. Not for alcohol, like that prohibition was stupid, but we need a group of people that cannot be bought, they cannot be influenced. They have no, like, they are dead set to purpose, of holding people accountable for these crimes with not, just absolute conviction that this needs to be addressed. And I saw a bit of that in Jack Smith when he sort of said, hey, there were these evidence. I followed the evidence. I did not do it with any favor towards one side or the other or anything like it. We need the untouchables. We need people that cannot be bought, cannot be bribed, cannot be threatened, cannot be made afraid to chase this down wherever it leads to whoever it leads. That's what we need. I'm on board. Where's Elliot Ness when you need him? I'm on board. There's to sully both the Democrats and Republicans, and rightfully so, but then advocate nasal gazing, both buying her classes to learning ancestor worship. Yeah, I get you. A lot of people are taking advantage of it. I'm not usually a political channel, so I'm not really, I don't really want to get too deep into it because I don't know if people want to hear my opinion. I have no idea. It's just, I'm kind of upset and disgusted and I am bewildered and I'm really angry about this. Not just because at the end of the day, there are very real victims to this who have had their lives absolutely destroyed, like just devastated, but also because of the brazen lawlessness that these people can operate in and just get away with it. Pisses me off. And not just that, it's also these poor girls at the time have grown up as women who are basically, they've had to live their lives in fear. They've had to, how many people have vanished or committed suicide? It makes me mad. And I think that, yeah. Did you hear about the kid in Australia who swam for 2 hours to save his family? I did not. Although I have not really looked up the news this morning. 2 hours isn't a great deal. Don't forget that Australians all can swim, right? You don't ask over here, can you swim? That isn't a question. It's like asking somebody, I don't know, can you use a knife and fork? It's just not a question over here. You don't ask that. It's like everyone can swim. You get swimming lessons always. It's almost mandatory, I believe. It's just you can swim. Everyone can swim to a certain degree. He failed swimming lessons? Wow, okay. Open ocean feet. A 13-year-old Austin Appleby. What a freaking... Can I just say... All right. Can I just say, what a freaking name. That is a superhero name if ever I've seen one. If ever I have seen one. Look, I've read comics. That is a superhero's alter ego. I'm not surprised this guy, this 13-year-old swam for 4 hours. It was 4 freaking hours. It wasn't 2. It was 4 hours. What a kid. Inflatable paddleboards and kayak of Geograph Bay. Oh, it was Quindelup. Oh, wow, I didn't hear about this. When was this? Interesting. Thursday, 5th of February. All right, so it was yesterday. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Yeah. So that is where I am. Somewhere around there. I won't tell you exactly, but somewhere around there. That's actually a long way away. That's actually a long way away from me. But yeah, there's not a lot of towns in between. Oh, wow. Okay. On a rescue boat. Okay, so we swum and rescued them. Wow, what a kid. Awesome. $2,000. Treading water for more than 28 hours. Yeah, nice. Okay, I gotcha. Once you had swum 4 kilometers, yep. The teenager ran 2 kilometers. I just kept swimming. I do breaststroke, I do freestyle, I do survival backstroke. Right. Yep. About 2 hours into his 4 hours swim, he ditched the life jacket he was wearing. I knew he was the strongest and he could do it. Yeah, right on. All right, what a kid. I'm impressed. What a kid. What a kid. Oh, that is thingo. Yeah, no, Justin, look, Justin, I tried to get as far away from you as possible, mate. I'm sorry. I tried. I am the furthest away from you I possibly could be. Right. Yeah, okay, so survival backstroke is an incredible skill to learn if ever you are in trouble, and it's very, very easy. You just lie on your back and you basically just act like a frog and scull it. You basically, your legs go apart and you can maintain survival backstroke for ages. Survival side stroke is actually even better. I've swum easily 5 kilometers survival side stroke, no problem whatsoever. It is such a useful skill to learn. If you are around water or you do any kind of water sports or anything like that, learn survival side stroke. It's kind of difficult to learn. It's a weird kind of stroke, but it is an absolute lifesaver. He didn't know he couldn't do it, so he did it. Yeah, well, I mean, under circumstances, we can do amazing things. Adrian said he was going live. Is that the Christian Adrian Belgrade or whatever his name is? I don't know, but hello, Ryan. Good to see you. I always rock up in your chat, and I don't say hello enough in mine.
What I am saying is that awareness matters. Discernment matters.
Oh yes, the power of discernment, which nobody can explain how it works and why it fails so freaking often. This is the thing. I really dislike it when somebody says somebody has the power of discernment. We do not have saltwater crocodiles down there, mate. We don't have saltwater crocodiles. We do have sharks, but you're more likely to find great whites down there than bull sharks. Certainly other sharks. The power of discernment isn't a power. Right, it's not a power, it's not a thing, it's basically just intuition. It's basically just gut feeling. The problem is that Christians assign that gut feeling as some kind of superpower given to them by Jesus in order to make their feelings more of an authority than they ought to be, right? Because our intuition is... So we've got 2 types of thinking. Type 1 thinking, which is our intuition, and type 2 thinking, which is our cognition. So when you get a feeling something's not right about that person, sure, that's your intuition. And it can make really quick judgments, really good leaps that your subconscious may notice, but your conscious doesn't. Cognition is when you sit down and you go, okay, what's the evidence that that person is good or bad? Right? Like, do I have any reason? Is there anything coming up? Now, intuition is really fast. It can be really useful when time is a factor, but it is wrong a lot, and for good reason. It basically will err on the side of caution. It basically will, but it can make some surprisingly accurate leaps. I don't dispute that, but it's not as reliable as actually sitting down and thinking about things, type 2 thinking. The problem is that they will basically go, well, I don't like this thing. Well, how do you know? Well, I've got the power of discernment. And it's like, no, that's your intuition just jumping to a conclusion. And you could be right, but it's not that reliable. It's not a superpower. And it really annoys me when they talk like it is. My way of avoiding drowning is staying from water as possible. Yeah, well, I mean, climate change, it's going to come closer to you, Sid. Get ready.
Engagement matters. When you understand what's happening on a global scale, you're not just passively accepting whatever comes next. You're actively thinking about it. You're asking questions.
That's not really discernment. That's just thinking about stuff as per usual. I'm not sure how that differs from what anybody else is doing.
You're considering how it affects you, and where does this line up with Scripture? You're praying.
Did that just highlight itself? Okay, that's weird.
About it. You're engaging with it thoughtfully. And that's what Scripture calls us to do. In Proverbs, we're told to be wise, to think carefully, to understand what's happening around us, not to be naive or gullible, to test what we hear against truth.
Well, yeah, but the problem with that is that, the Bible also says that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the light. So if you hear something, it sort of commands you to test it against the truth of the Bible. There's a problem there, right? If the Bible isn't true, then you're discarding what is true for something that is false. So there's a problem there, because, how do you know that the Bible is true? And you're basically using the Bible to say, well, I've got to test it against this thing, which automatically becomes true. And it's why you have so many people in religion trust the Bible over their experience of reality around them. And this book is missing half a page. I suspect this is AI. I have a strong suspicion.
What if I told you that Bill Gates just described a type of technology that sounds a lot like what you would expect to see in Revelation 13?
Oh, my prediction is Mark of the Beast. It's all Mark of the Beast, all the way down. I think that, yeah, this Mark of the Beast thing, it's been going on for so long. Don't forget that before this, it was barcodes that were supposed to be Mark of the Beast, right? They all jumped up and down about the barcode system that we put on commercial goods in order to tag them, etc.
In an article titled "Bill Gates Declares the End of the Smartphone Era and Unveils Its Surprising Replacement," we read the following.
Yes, but Bill Gates' predictions have not been exactly wonderful. I believe he said something really stupid about computers, right? Like when computers first got started, he sort of said something like 256K should be enough for anybody, right? Like he predicted that the memory, or the RAM, the random access memory for computers, would top out at 256K because people wouldn't need more. Bill Gates is an excellent businessman, right? He's not really great with actual technology. Or what? It's not that he's not great. It's just he's not really an engineer or somebody that, actually designs this stuff or is an expert on how they're put together. Don't forget that Bill Gates did not program MS-DOS, right? He bought the code for MS-DOS off somebody else and had, like, don't get me wrong, he certainly contributed to overhauling it into what it became, but they didn't write that from scratch. They purchased it, right? So the idea that Bill Gates has sort of got this hot take on the end of the smartphone era, I'm not 100% sure we can, considering his other predictions, it should be, I'll just make sure, the 256K quote. Oh, it was 640. Oh, maybe he didn't. Maybe it's a myth. It's a myth? Okay, he denies ever saying that. I've said some stupid thing and some wrong things, but not that. Okay, well, maybe it's a myth then. But he said there's also some things. He tried to convince people to drink poop water. All right, well, that's a real thing. Now, he stole Windows from Apple. Yeah, basically. I think that, yes, that's something he kind of stole, but what... So, if you've seen any documentaries about that, this is wild. This is absolutely wild. So, Apple was really implementing a system in which they had sort of the first GUI, which is a graphical user interface, right? They wanted to have something that the user could interface with in a graphical way, like in an actual sort of tangible way, rather than typing in stuff. But they could not implement it, Sith. They basically they were trying keyboard functions to use this GUI. They actually got the they actually managed to get the concept of a mouse from Xerox, right? Like, so Xerox had been messing around in interface systems, and they had come up with a sort of handheld pointer that you could move it and a thing on the screen would move. And they basically showed this to Apple because really they didn't think it had any practical implementation in what they were doing at the time, which was mainly copiers, right? They did printers and copiers and things like that, but they were mucking around with user interfaces for these devices, and they'd come up with this thing. And they didn't think it was of any practical import, so they almost gave it to Apple, saying, hey, we've got no real thing for like, you know. And then they implemented that with their graphical system to make what essentially was Mac OS. Or rather iOS, really. No, Mac OS, sorry. And then sort of, yes, Windows was essentially stolen from Apple. Absolutely. Absolutely.
In a bold prediction that's making waves across...
And I must also say that Bill Gates is in the Epstein files. He's all over them. Like, there's these certain individuals that you're like, why aren't these people being investigated? Bill Gates left him for a now revealed reason. If the AI says Bill was part of Satan's plan, it may be credible. Look, the last thing I saw from Melinda Gates was she was saying, if the allegations in the Epstein files are true, I'm glad that I'm no longer associated with it, which I can understand her sentiment. You know, yeah. I don't think she wants to talk about it. I think she's just happy being as far away from him as humanly possible. Which I can't. Which mark of the beast? 616 or 666?
The tech world, Microsoft founder Bill Gates has suggested that smartphones could soon be obsolete.
I don't think so. I don't think so. And the reason will surprise you.
Replaced by an entirely new kind of technology. Forget everything you know about handheld devices. Gates envisions a future where electronic tattoos become the new norm. End quote. Pause for a moment and consider how significant this notion is. To talk about implanting electronics into human skin, and to imagine that someday it will be widespread, is not idle speculation.
Yeah, I don't think it's right around the corner, though. I really don't think so. The problem... I mean, we could definitely do it. Don't get me wrong. We can absolutely do it. We can absolutely implant chips. We can absolutely implant, you know, sort of near-field communication devices. That's not a problem. The problem is when you've got to upgrade. Think about people that upgrade their phone every year. Do they really want to go in for surgery every single time to upgrade? That's the problem. The problem is sort of scope. You know, like if you want to upgrade your phone, imagine if you had surgery to do so. Now, look, don't get me wrong. In the future, there may be surgeries that are complete. You just go in 1 hour, you're out with no after effects whatsoever. But that is not the world we live in currently. Even simple procedures are risky. You know, you get appendicitis, you get your tonsils taken out. Almost nobody has any ill effects from that, but there is still a risk. Okay, so it is the case that all surgeries have risk at the moment. But I'm not saying it won't happen in the future, but this idea that we're right around the corner from this, I don't think so. I don't think so. Like, in order to put these systems in the skin, you have chances of infection. You've got, you have to have surgeons to do it. It does seem a bit, unfeasible at the moment, especially when technology gets obsolete so fast. Because, if you want the latest cutting tech, you've got to go in for surgery all the time to upgrade it. It's not really practical. But I'm not saying it won't be in the future. If the surgery becomes really simple and easy by technology at some point in the future, hey, maybe, sure. Just it's not around the corner.
It reveals a worldview, one in which technology is not just a tool, but a means of control, surveillance, identity, and power.
That's the current world, my guy. That's the current world. That's the one we're living in. And it kind of always has been. Technology always has been power in the world. If you have iron chariots, apparently God can't do anything. The Mongols, you could argue that their technology became their power, right? And their identity and surveillance, because their technology was basically the horses and the horse riding techniques that they used, the type of saddle they used, all of that kind of stuff, and the Mongols' bow and arrow, their composite bow and arrow, which changed the world, right? Like, that absolutely changed the world, and that was technology. So that has always been the case. Always. Like, just because our technology is a lot more advanced doesn't mean that technology didn't change the world back in the day. It did. Things like lens making, right? The Western countries, I heard one theory. I don't know if this is true, but it sounds likely that because the Western European countries drank wine, they wanted to see the wine, they specialized in glass making, and that's why they really developed lens making. Interesting hypothesis. I'm not sure if that's true. I would have to ask an expert, but it's interesting. But anyway, those lenses, that, surveillance, identity, and power, yeah, that technology of being able to see beyond the range of human sight by using lenses, insanely powerful. So this isn't a new thing. This isn't like, oh, well, suddenly technology gives us all of these things because it's new and we have computers and we have no, that's been going on forever. That is the human experience. If you come up with new technology, it will give you all of these things.
Here's what you need to see. Right now, the most powerful artificial intelligence many people use is hidden behind their everyday smartphone.
Ooh, scary. I don't think it's hidden. People are actively using it. I mean, if you're talking about the sort of, data centers and stuff, they're not really hidden. We're talking about how much power they use, how much water they use, all of this. They're not really hidden. I don't know anybody that goes, oh, well, I'm going to use my AI. There's nothing behind it somewhere doing the calculations. It's all on my phone. No, it's not hidden. What are you talking about?
If you're watching this on your phone, or you use your phone for anything beyond calls, streaming, social media, apps, you are already relying on a sophisticated AI system you don't fully understand.
You don't need AI to not understand something. Most people are using the internet. They don't understand how it works. Most people who use a program don't understand how it works. They don't fully understand it. This is the fear-mongering that these kind of like religious people do. Oh, you're using AI and you don't understand how it works, Hey, I use soap and I don't understand how it works. I know it gets me clean. How exactly? I don't know. Do I have to know? No. Like, this is the thing. It's just so well, there's this new thing, be afraid. Be afraid because it's new and you don't understand it. Everything new, like, the average person doesn't understand it. You don't understand how the CPU works in your phone. Admit it. You don't understand it, how it works. And I know you don't, because I had to go to university and find out how it works, and I went, oh, that's complicated. Yes, that's incredibly complicated. But, you know, that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to understand, like, how a combustion engine works to drive around in your car. It doesn't matter. Like, this is so stupid.
Even if your phone seems harmless, it collects data.
Ooh.
It listens,
Ooh.
it watches, it records.
Yeah, it does all those things. Yes. And that's not AI. That is just, you know, your phone. But most records that your phone takes, no one cares about. They don't care. Okay, so when you're sort of using your phone and you're like, oh, the phone company will know exactly which mobile tower I've been near, kind of thing, they don't care, right? Because I've worked in a phone company, and literally if the police come and want us to get that information, it's a pain in the ass to even go and get it. No one gives a shit. No one cares, right? It's recorded. No one cares about it. Now, does there have to be regulations because that data in the wrong hands can be incredibly harmful? Absolutely. Absolutely. In order to get that data, you should have the police come and present a warrant or have some kind of justification for wanting that information. Absolutely. Right? The problem isn't that it's watching and recording. The problem is with the regulations surrounding corporate interests in using that data for financial profit. That's the problem. So let's be clear. It's not the problem with the phone. It's not the problem with AI. It's not the problem with how it records. It's not any of these problems. The problem is that the government is not doing enough to regulate how it is used, and privacy is what we're talking about. It's a privacy issue. Right? Like, your data shouldn't be able to be used as a commercial resource.
The phone itself may not think, but the systems behind it do. The value lies in your...
Optics and optical theory was developed by the Persians. Oh, look, Colorado Biker Prepper, as I said, you could be absolutely right. You could be absolutely right. But I know that sort of the European countries really did do a lot of work on lens making, you know, to a great degree. So I don't know, honestly.
Your data. Where you go, who you talk to, what you search, what you buy, what you believe.
Yeah, no, your phone will not record what you believe. Yeah, that's internal to your mind. Your phone will not record what you believe. It'll definitely, if you're searching for your beliefs, then maybe in a roundabout way you can argue that. But no, it does not record what you believe. No, it doesn't.
These corporations gather this data, monetize it, and sell it.
Yes,
they
and that's the
compile
problem.
it, analyze it, predict behavior. They treat you not as a person, but as data points. That's a reality few fully grasp.
No, I think we're all grasp it. I think we all grasp it. I think we all. What do we all know what trackers are? Do we all know what trackers are? Trackers are the reason why if you visit a site and, you know, you look up, you go to a furniture site, right? And then you go to watch some anime on your favorite, you know, bootleg anime site or some crap, and there's an ad for furniture there. That's trackers, basically. They're bits of information that are stored and then retrieved by servers in order to do stuff, basically. That might be to present you with the same page you're at before, or it might be something else, right? And there's a problem with trackers that they can kind of be used for nefarious purposes, sure. And I think, like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely think that we need more regulations regarding privacy and data data privacy in general. Absolutely, absolutely. But let's not pretend it's this evil thing. Like when it says, oh, they'll analyze it and stuff, most of it is just for marketing purposes, right? It's just marketing. Marketing is as old as time. It's basically just, you know, from the day a street vendor went out onto the street and yelled, "Get your cabbages, they're ripe and delicious," right? Like that's marketing. That's all they're used for. Okay, not to say they could not be used for nefarious purposes. I get it. I really do. And I really think that privacy is a big issue. It is. But it's not the end of the world. It's not an evil cabal. It is corporations wanting to make money, and they're using marketing and sales techniques with this data in doing so.
Look at companies like Tesla. Many still call Tesla an automobile manufacturer. But in truth,
yeah, it is. It is an automobile. They literally make cars and sell them. Yes. Yes.
the car is just the vessel. The real value is in the data it collects.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's absolutely not. Because there are way better ways to collect data, like, I don't know, with drones and stuff, than making a car. A car's a pretty damn inefficient way to collect data. Just saying.
When you drive one of these AI-enabled vehicles, you become a walking sensor. Every movement, route, preference, all are logged. You are, in effect, an AI robot whose most valuable component is the data you produce. It's not science fiction. It's already here. Your home listens.
No, I don't think so. I think that it's a feedback loop that they're using. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they should not have greater regulations over how they use that data. But when you basically have a system of cars that are reading the road and updating, and then, you know, they may do something wrong, or, you know, some feedback may be required to be able to share the information about the road, what's happening, what's going on, traffic patterns and things like that. It's good for the person driving because it makes the you know, sort of AI of that driverless car way better. More data equals better understanding of things in the AI world, right? Like, so you give it as much data as possible. This can be good for the driver of the car. And look, I agree. There's some terrible things that probably Tesla do in selling data and stuff. I totally agree. There should be greater protections for the consumer. But that's not to say that it's all nefarious and the entire objective is to collect data. That isn't the objective. The objective is to sell cars. A better driving system on the Tesla, automated driving system, means they sell more cars. So they use the data for that. And I know that the primary purpose of Tesla is not to collect data, because if you took away the car building and selling section of it, it would shut down. It wouldn't be a company anymore. It wouldn't be able to make money, right? Like, it's this entire conspiracy that, oh, they're not selling cars, they're collecting data, and you're a victim. No, they're selling cars. What are you talking about? Like, seriously. There's other ways to get data than cars. It's just that if you want to improve how a car is performing, you get data from a car, not a drone or a plane or a computer. You've got to get the data from a car. Well, I mean, look, companies call people consumers. I mean, I used to stick to customers, but, you know, that's not really used by government, though. I don't know why, you know, because if you're in a company and you say our customers or our consumers, you're not talking about the entire citizenry of a country, because there's people that don't use your products. I don't think that, you know, the terms that you're using defines people in any way. I think that just generally, you know, government will use citizens and companies will use consumers, because that's their relationship between each. I don't know. You could be right. I don't know. When did you see the Jim Bob thing? That motherfucker had false advertisement to get me in there with a picture of Anton Petrov. Who the fuck is Anton Petrov? Look, you know, he is dodgy as fuck. He is dodgy as fuck. The funniest thing that I heard recently was one of his followers, right? One of his sort of adherents, I would say, said that Jim Bob disproved evolution with logic, and I just could not stop laughing. Like, seriously, that is hilarious. With logic. With pure logic, he disproved evolution. Sure he did. Sure he did. With logic, yes. Yes. It was hilarious.
Phone sees, your car tracks. If your car is newer than 20 years old, it almost certainly has some...
No, it was like I caught part of. I couldn't stay for the whole thing. It was disgusting. But I caught a Andrew Wilson debate on breakfast tacos kind of thing. He was some guy called Kurt was absolutely roasting the dude. He did really well, actually. I was very impressed. But I went in afterwards and sort of had a chat with people. And what too bad a time. It just, Wilson is terrible. And, you know, of course, he has the author bros in there, you know, pumping up Jim Bob and stuff like that. You know.
Form of built-in AI. Or at least data systems that report back. This trajectory is not incidental. It is part of a larger picture, a direction in which humanity is being shaped by systems that absorb more and more of our intimacy, privacy, freedom, and identity. We must not be passive consumers of these technologies.
Okay, so does anybody spot the flaw in this video's line of argumentation at the moment? Can anyone spot the flaw? I will bonk anybody that in chat, or you know, first person in chat to spot the flaw gets a good old bonk. Okay, like, does anyone spot the flaw in this? Like, watching the rest of the video, watching the trajectory that it's gone in, watching the style that it has and what it is using to the argument right now. Right? What's the problem here? I'll give you a second. I'll give you a second. The one that I watched was on Breakfast Taco, which, you know, I kind of feel, look, I feel kind of not pissed off, but I feel kind of disappointed at Breakfast Taco for having, you know, someone like Andrew Wilson on there. He really is, you know, he is a person that, like, when I talk about there is a segment of population that basically are trying to convince everybody, and especially young men, that democracy doesn't work, it's all just a farce, it's all corrupt. Someone's going to stomp on somebody. Be the stomper, not the stompee, and help me crush everybody else. Right? That is the thing that they project. And Andrew Wilson's a perfect example of the type of person that does it. He doesn't believe in democracy. He doesn't believe in equality. He doesn't believe in fairness. What he believes is that there will always be a winner and a loser. So be on the winning team and crush people. Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting, because all it does is, you know, when you have a stable system, basically you have levels of equality, of fairness, of all justice, of all of these things. You know, but if somebody's going to stomp on you, you obviously will fight back. Okay, no worries. No, all good. So the problem here is this video is chock full of AI. Right? AI images, AI scenes, AI things. And he's saying, yeah, beware of AI. Don't just be passive consumers of it. Stop it. Because it's dangerous. while he's literally using it to create his video about it. The irony is incredible. Because this channel, and I'll go back to this channel is just chock full of AI slop. Right? It's just full of AI. Chock full. Chock? Chock full? Chock? I don't know. But yeah, it's just wall-to-wall AI. And he's basically going, oh, AI is dangerous. Don't just be a passive observer and use it. But, you know, this is the channel that brings you such films as Enoch, the movie, the film that shocked the world. And Daniel, the movie, the film that shocked the world. Chock. Yes, chock. Look, don't hassle my Australian accent. I will force you to listen to AI slop for the rest of your lives. This 3.9, almost 4 million sub channel is basically going, AI is bad, and it's so full of AI, it's overflowing onto my channel. Ridiculous. Like, that is ridiculous. That is ludicrous.
We must be discerning. We must ask, who is in control? Who has access? What are the spiritual dangers here? Because
well, the spiritual danger obviously isn't dangerous enough that you don't constantly use it. Holy crap.
Because when the beast system rises, these technologies will be its arms. And if we surrender now, we may not have ground to stand on later. The article continues to say, the key advantage? These tattoos are integrated into the body. Imagine having a device embedded in your skin.
Yeah, if I imagine a device embedded in my skin, I can imagine that getting an upgrade is going to be a real pain in whatever location it's put in. So, I'm not a huge fan of tattoos to begin with. I just, you know, don't like needles. I've never liked needles. I just, you know, don't like them. So I can imagine that would kind of suck for me. So I don't think I would be getting a tattoo anytime soon, especially if to upgrade it, you've got to get the tattoo removed and then another one put in. I don't know how it would work. I do know it's probably going to be very painful.
That lets you interact with the world through simple gestures or touch. It's sleek, unobtrusive, and possibly more intuitive than anything we've seen so far. The tattoos are powered by tiny nanocapacitors, and they don't require bulky batteries or displays, making them a far more subtle alternative to today's mobile devices. We are in an era when biblical prophecies are coming to pass at an alarming rate.
Oh, like what? Like what? Are the armies marching from the east with sword and spear? Because that's one of the biblical prophecies for the end times. That armies will be marching with swords and spears. That's not. I haven't seen that lately. Just saying.
Some of the things we are seeing today were foretold by prophets in the Old Testament, while some are the words of Christ himself. But the time is inconsequential. It is the realization that matters, and right now, the most prominent biblical prophecy flying around is the increase in knowledge.
Increase in knowledge. You think that it proves the Bible's end times because there's an increase in knowledge. Riddle me this AI video. When in history hasn't there been an increase in knowledge? Oh, wait. Maybe the Dark Ages? Maybe? An increase in knowledge is his gold standard proof that we're living in the end times. Because the Bible says there'll be an increase in knowledge, and gee howdy, knowledge has increased. Yeah.
Daniel 12:4 says, "But you, Daniel, roll up and seal the words of the scroll until the time of the end." Many will go here and there to increase knowledge. While you may...
That has been true for all of history. Like literally all of history. People traveled to, say, the Library of Alexandria to increase their knowledge. Like that is something that has been happening since the dawn of time. People will go here and there to increase their knowledge. Yeah, no shit. Really? That you think that's just started happening? Holy crap.
Think this verse talks about technology generally? That's not the first focus. The first thing is that men would become desperate to seek answers in the end time.
Oh, yeah, we never sought answers before. We were never seeking answers before. That's probably true. Immediately after they burned the Library of Alexandria, knowledge decreased. Yeah. But what I'm sort of saying, Archer, is there's been a general increase in knowledge over the entirety of human history, barring that kind of event. I get you, yes. You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. That they'll become desperate for answers. People have always been desperate for answers. Always. You know, like, come on. This is just stuff that people do. This is the worst prediction in the history of predictions. Because you're just outlining what people generally do. I prophesy that men will find it desperate to find a place to urinate. Yes, for I am the prophet of the end times. Now, buy my DVDs.
They want to know more about themselves, the universe, and the supreme being without acknowledging the existence of God.
So this is this loaded language, right? Like they sort of talk about, you know, if you want to talk about some kind of absolute reality or the actuality of things or some kind of ontological state, I get you. But when they color it like this, because so being in philosophy doesn't necessarily mean like a person or a god or an agent, something with autonomy. Being in philosophy just means a state of being, right? So when they say supreme being, they're sort of saying the most powerful state of being, or the most sort of the most overarching state of being. But that's not what it sounds like, right? They're obviously using it from a theological sense. People search for the supreme being. And it's like, yeah, that just sounds like God. But they don't acknowledge the existence of God. No, we're just searching for the truth about our reality. I don't know what a supreme being would mean. Yeah, no, I know, Archer, and I love you for it. I really do. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good, mate. Absolutely.
This is the main root of technology. And today, this verse is more glaring in the explosion of AI. While technology has been evolving for centuries, the world has never experienced a mighty wave like that of AI.
Absolutely it has. Absolutely it has. The Industrial Revolution, the computing revolution, the combustion engine. There's been huge technologies. Just because this one is the most technologically advanced, right? The reason is because we're the most technologically advanced we've ever been. But, you know, to say we've never experienced a huge wave, absolutely we have. The combustion engine came along and basically eliminated a horse-based economy. Like, everybody had horses, and then they didn't. Right? Like, electricity was one of these things. And people said the same thing. There's a woodcut of a pamphlet against electricity. Right? Like people saying that electricity was going to be the death of society. Let me find it. I can probably find it. Yeah, okay. So this was an anti-electricity machine magazine cover from 1889, when public fear over electricity was on the rise. This is what was published. An unrestrained demon is down the bottom here. An unrestrained demon. And this is sort of the stuff that was being floated around. It's going to destroy everybody. It's going to kill so many people. It's going to, that they were absolutely doing panic, right? They were absolutely panicking over electricity. That electricity was going to be an absolute end of the world event. Guess what? It wasn't. Do you know why? Do you know why it wasn't? It's because we regulated who and how those systems could be implemented, right? So we had safety standards, and that's what we need with AI. Problem is that a president, not naming who, has really, really harmed safety standards on the AI front. Just saying, he has. And, but none of these technologies has been the world ender that people have sort of, catastrophized they would be. Is AI dangerous? Absolutely. Does it need to be regulated? Absolutely. Will it cause the end of the world? I don't think so. I don't think it's as dangerous as people make out. That being said, even electricity is really dangerous if you don't have safety standards and regulation. It is really dangerous. So are chemicals. Chemicals are really dangerous if you don't have safety standards and regulation. It's the same for all technology. You need to have that.
We are quickly getting to the stage where technology in this form can speak, reason, and even perform tasks only humans can. What is the main reason behind these inventions?
Yeah, I don't know about reason. It's a sort of learning algorithms. Whether they're reasoning or not is up in the air. It kind of, they certainly don't think like humans do, but if you listen to Turing, then what is thinking, and why do humans have the monopoly on it? I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think they reason as such. They simply learn. I'm not sure about reasoning though.
It all boils down to the need for an answer. It goes beyond creating tools to ease our daily lives and the quest to push beyond human limitations. Many hearts are drifting away from God to artificial things. They want to know the mystery behind how every cell in humans came to be.
Yeah. So we're investigating things. We absolutely are investigating. Yeah, we want to know as much as possible about the world. That has always been the key to surviving in the world, is knowledge about that world around us. Which berries are poisonous, which mushrooms are safe to eat, and which will, make you see God. We've always had that, and it's always been beneficial. So you're sort of going, oh, but don't investigate any further. Yeah, of course this voice absolutely is AI. And that's the hilarious thing. Like they're basically saying AI is dangerous. Don't just passively be a consumer of AI. While they literally use AI all throughout their video, discouraging using AI. Like, these people have no sense of self-awareness. None whatsoever. Look, I'll use a tiny bit of AI. Sometimes I will make a picture with AI. I don't use it a lot. I understand the problems associated with using AI to produce content that has no real redeeming artistic value except for, churning it out. I get you. I'm right on board with you. I can understand why that's a problem. But, just using an AI to make a cartoon version of yourself because you cannot afford an artist, or it's just a lot. I totally get it. Even people like I was on the Daily Atheist morning show. I get it. The uses AI. I totally understand why. Like, I'm not denigrating it down, but also I'm not saying that we should just leave everything to AI either. I think that there's a middle ground. Oh, look, I hate the voice, Sith. I gotta say, I hate it. I hate it. So really, this is seeing how far I can get through before I'm sick of the frigging AI voice, because I don't know. I was talking earlier, if you missed it, I said there's kind of an uncanny valley with AI voices. That, like, if it was just a robot voice, you could probably put up with it. If there's a, completely human voice, you're fine. But there's sort of a middle ground that you're like, oh, this sucks. This is terrible.
Yet, they don't want to know God. They want to travel back in time to discover how the planets, galaxies, and systems came to be. But they forget that God is an unsearchable being.
Well, if it's unsearchable, how do you know that it exists? Oh, it's in the Bible. I searched for it. Yeah. But how do you know that it exists? Like, that's the thing. You can always claim, and this is him saying, hey, it's unfalsifiable. Correct. So we don't usually, and sort of this goes into Karl Popper. I'll just briefly mention him because he came up with the idea about unfalsifiability and the pointlessness in trying to even demonstrate or believe in unfalsifiable things. Bertrand Russell did a great example with Russell's teapot. Like, there's a teapot around Saturn is the claim. It's unfalsifiable. We can't investigate it. And if we can't investigate it, there's no real way to prove that it exists. Because as Popper sort of went into, the way that we prove things exist is by having a falsifiable criteria that it then overcomes, right? Like having a criteria for saying, hey, if we do a sonar sweep of the Loch Ness and do not find any unusual patterns there, then that has falsified the Loch Ness monster. And if we do that sweep and we see something unidentified, it has overcome that falsification criteria. And basically what Popper said is the way that we get around the problem with the origin of knowledge, right? The way that all knowledge seems to lead back to three possibilities: infinite regress, infinite regress, dogmatic assertion, and circular argumentation, right? The way we get around that is constantly having falsification criteria and overcoming it. And the more it overcomes that falsification criteria, the more our confidence grows in it, right? So there's these philosophical problems that, hey, the problem of induction is what Hume first pointed out, that just because something has, just because I get a pen and drop it, right? How do I know that in the future it will keep dropping? Well, because it did in the past, right? But that means that I'm relying on induction to prove induction into the future. Popper gets around this by saying, hey, dropping it is a falsification criteria. Like, if I drop it and it holds still, it's been falsified. And we never actually prove anything 100%. What we do is constantly subject it to a falsification, and as long as it keeps passing, the confidence in it increases, or at least it doesn't go down. The confidence doesn't go down. So that's how we get around that problem of induction, and that's the falsification process. Did I just drop out? Did I just hold it? What? What? Hello? Hello? I'm scared. Okay, I may have just lost chat. I think the AI is onto me, peeps. I think the AI is onto me. It's found out what I'm doing. I'm scared. Hold me. I'm scared. Hold me. I'm 100% scared. I'm good? Okay, thank you. You've been visible the whole time? Oh, dang. Oh, dang. Well, my program here, my restream just told me that I completely lost you. So it's a liar, and it's the AI trying to throw me off from throwing shade on it.
They want to enjoy a better life. They want quick results for everything. However, they no longer want to wait on God.
Yeah, I don't think people want quick results for everything. I think it's just, efficiency is a problem. We want to be efficient in things. It's kind of funny that people that think, praying for something works is quick results for everything. Like that is really weird to say that about people that, spend ages programming something. I think that we use tools to make things more efficient, but I don't think people expect quick results for everything. I really take exception to that.
Because he works with time. But is that the true way? Will AI...
Yeah, so it's really weird for them to say that when, young Earth creationists say, oh, well, couldn't it be millions of years? Like, seriously, we don't expect quick results for everything. We expect it... weird. This is weird.
Replace God in our lives? Moreover, what are the dangers behind the AI terminology? Is this part of the Antichrist's prep?
So the AI is the Antichrist. Okay, so just wrap your mind around this for a second. I know I might be crazy. I know that. But just wrap your mind around this. They're starting to promote the idea that AI is the devil's tool for ruling the world, as they show the devil by using an AI tool that is the devil's tool for taking over the world. Somehow I don't think they're exactly being honest about their opinion of AI. Because if this Christian channel did think that AI was, the devil's tool, why are they using AI? This is what boggles my mind, right? This is what boggles my mind about Christians. They'll go, this thing is horrible and awful. And this is what boggles my mind about the evangelicals. You basically supporting Trump. It's like, oh, the decadence of society and the horrible things and the awful things. Yeah, but I'll back the guy that's had 4 wives and, has cheated on every single one of his wives and also is in the Epstein files and also has, said the most horrific stuff ever said by anybody, any presidential candidate, and also the guy that hides his taxes. There's something wrong with these people. I'm sorry. Didn't they use AI to make that video? They used almost exclusively AI to make this video. Yes.
Preparation for his rule? You need to remember that AI does not come to life itself. There are humans behind the creation of these humanoids. What is their main aim?
He says as he uses AI. Are you saying that AI, the devil's tool used for God, is fine? Is that what he's trying to say? Because your main aim is to convert people, or at least have them not leave religion. I don't know. This is the thing. You've got to understand, 157k views and positive stuff. It's wild.
According to researchers, they want to make them godlike. This simple statement looks like what Lucifer thought of before God sent him out of heaven. Consider...
Yeah, no, we're not using AI to make ourselves godlike, only in a colloquial sense, right? Because when you look, the people who are developing AI are not going to say, hey, it's a really handy tool, will probably improve your life a little bit. That's not how marketing works, okay? It is like the person that is selling the ab roller. They're not going to say, hey, you might lose a little bit of fat. You might develop a little bit of... No, they're going to say, this will change your life. You will be a new person after this. You will look like a Greek god. This is marketing 101. So when the developers of AI says, it will make you a god, that's marketing. They may not actually mean that. And, if God's omniscient, omnipotent, and omnibenevolent, of course it won't make you like a god. Come on. This is the thing. I sometimes think that some Christians, they ignore obvious red flags in front of them, and then the most obviously innocuous of comments, like the most obviously, I guess I shouldn't say innocuous, just banal, just meaningless, just marketing and people drumming up stuff, they will latch onto like it is a confession of the Antichrist himself. It's just ridiculous.
The 5 I wills of Lucifer, as found in Isaiah chapter 14, verse 13 to 14. I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Don't you think man today?
I'll be like the Most High, dude. Yeah. Yeah, okay, Isaiah says that, yes. So what? So, is AI going to ascend to heaven? If so, how? I don't know how. And this kind of really bewilders me, that you're basically claiming that AI is a evil spiritual tool that you're happy to use, but, you know, is he trying to say that, like, you know, because they had the World Economic Forum earlier, are they trying to say that the world leaders are going to use AI to devil it up? I don't know. But I don't know how AI gets you into heaven. It's very strange.
Is replicating this ideology somehow by wanting to create something godlike with all the answers and infinite knowledge?
Yeah, I don't think the only way AI could have infinite knowledge is if you have infinite space to process data, and that is not happening. No, wrong. No. You know, we would have to have infinite amount of storage space for data, and that is not a thing.
Thirst for answers has built a demonic agenda in the minds of men. They want to perform actions that are above human abilities. Thus, they keep increasing knowledge and trying.
My guy, driving in a car is performing things above human abilities. We can't run that fast. Okay, this is the stupid thing. They're kind of like doing this real fear-mongering of, oh, well, if you take this thing away from humans, you're doing things humans were never meant to do. Yeah, presumably we're never meant to fly either. My guy, we do things all the time that are beyond human abilities. Like, constantly. Like, me talking to people across the world is beyond human abilities. I need the internet for that. Because, hey, spoiler alert, I can't shout to my audience in America. I mean, I could try. My wife will hate me, but I could try. But yeah, that's beyond human ability. This is the most stupid stuff to, like, trying to fearmonger ordinary things. As soon as somebody threw a spear, it was beyond the abilities of humans. You know, like, it's just so ridiculous.
To bring their crooked thoughts to pass. They believe A. I will one day surpass human reasoning and become a decision-making force. And what will humans do? Worship them, of course, to avoid being destroyed by AI weapons.
Wow, it got that out quick. Worship them, of course. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think humans will end up worshipping AI. Like, why do you think that will happen? So there is a concept called the singularity, right? The singularity is basically, you know, it's sort of shorthand for a technological singularity, and people do talk about it in reference to AI. Now, any technological singularity is basically the point at which a technology is implemented that we can't see past, right? Like, so basically, when the smartphone was invented, nobody saw that everybody would have one. I mean, sort of, you know, of course, Steve Jobs sort of had this dream and a vision for it, but nobody really saw what it would turn into. Nobody sort of predicted the outcomes with social media, with, you know, having certain apps on your phone. Nobody really saw the consequences because the change was too much. Like, it was just impossible to predict the outcome. Most singularities are the same. You know, the advent of the combustion engine, nobody sort of saw that horses would become redundant and only ridden for, you know, if you said to somebody beforehand, well, if you produce this engine, then, you know, horses will basically become something for sport and pleasure and not be used really anymore. They would go ridiculous. You know, nobody really saw that. So any single technological singularity is basically a point where you can't see past. And that applies especially so to AI. I don't think anybody can predict where it will go. I don't think people will worship AI or else they'll be destroyed by AI weapons. I think that if AI takes over and has weapons, it will probably use them anyway. Because if that scenario is true, and to be honest with you, I do not suspect it will be, humans kind of become redundant, very redundant. Like if an AI can actually think in a superior way, in all ways, right? Like not just one way, but all ways to humans, then there will be no reason to keep us around. And keeping us around is very inefficient if we have absolutely no purpose. There's been other proposals that say, hey, maybe humans will be kept as sort of a moral guide for AI, who may be unable to sort of work out morals. That could be true as well. Nobody knows. So this statement of, hey, humans will worship AI because they don't want to be destroyed by AI weapons, I don't think that's true.
This is a direct war against God's worship. AI might be trending now. However, God's word will come to pass.
And to convince people not to worship AI, he puts an AI Jesus on the screen. Yep.
He sees all these things, but will let them remain only for a time. Don't get caught up with these machines. They are preparations for the Antichrist's rule. Therefore,
Okay, yeah, what? I don't know. Look, that's a scenario as well. Sure. Yeah. There's also symbiosis, right? Like we do AI and integrate them into our brains, and that's sort of a transhumanist idea. I don't know which one. I don't think anybody can predict what will happen. I just don't think anyone can. It's just going to be a technology that will change everything.
Fix your heart on God as we expect Christ's second return. Strive to be part of the new heaven and the new earth.
And don't use AI like we are doing in this very video.
Bible prophecy talks about the coming of a one-world religion. Some think this will never happen. Others believe the groundwork is already being laid for this to happen. Well, I would like to offer you a biblical perspective on headlines like this. Last year, reports broke out that the United Arab Emirates inaugurated the Abrahamic Family House, an interfaith complex housing a mosque, a church, and the Gulf Arab state's first ever purpose-built synagogue.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it's one religion. That's the thing. They're encouraging cooperations between religions. It's not a one religion. I mean, if you want to say, hey, if there's going to be a one world religion, the closest you'll get to that is like universalism or something like that, where it just accepts everybody. This is just an interfaith complex. Like it has a separate mosque, church, and synagogue, right? Like it's weird. Like why would that be one religion if you're splitting them up into three? And I think they're doing it because there's been a lot of fighting between those religions.
When you read about this, the buzzwords in the media concerning this are peaceful coexistence, unity, a convergence point for different cultures, people, and faith. Now, before we talk about this coming one world religion, let me say this. Peace on earth is good. We all welcome it. But do you know that the Antichrist, according to Daniel chapter 9, verse 27, will fly the banner of peace for a short time, only to then break it? The Bible says the ruler will make a treaty with the people for a period of one set of 7.
Yeah, that's been happening since the dawn of civilization. People, kings, leaders, presidents, prime ministers, people have always said, hey, I'll be peaceful, I won't attack anybody, and then attack them. Like that has been going on forever. Holy crap.
But after half this time, he will put an end to the sacrifices and offerings. And as a climax to all his terrible deeds, he will set up a sacrilegious object that causes desecration until the fate decreed for this defiler is finally poured out on him.
Is it a dildo? Is the sacrilegious what is this sacrilegious object exactly? What is it? I want to know. I want to know. Is it an AI? Is it a data center? Is it what is it? Well, like a sacrilegious object could be literally anything. I mean, it could be an altar, it could be a dildo, could be a Christmas tree. I do not know what this is, and so like this is the thing. It is so vague. Like they basically point to things that have happened throughout all of human history, and then say, oh, it will be around an object. think you can be a tad more specific on literally anything.
So with this in mind, Christians need to have the spirit of discernment, because not everything or everyone who presents themselves as peaceful is actually peaceful.
Yeah, so the spirit of discernment, you know, the way he's talking about it, it's like having this real investigative quality where you sort of weigh things up. That is not how Christians sort of refer to it when I've met them. They've sort of said, oh, the spirit of discernment just tells you who's right and wrong. It's like an intuitive feeling. So I think the spirit of discernment is complete crap. Like, they're doing exactly what everybody else does. They have intuitions, which may be right or wrong. They investigate things and reason through them. That's what happens.
In the world today, there are various types of religions. However, in the context of Christianity, and according to the Bible, we can draw all to only two types of religions.
Only two types of religions. Fun and not fun. How about that? That's my two types of religions. Fun and not fun.
These are the true religion and the false religion.
Oh.
True religion refers to the doctrine of Christ, while false religion is everything that is against the true religion which is outlined in God's word.
Oh, so it's basically we've got the true one and everyone else is false. Gotcha.
You might want to ask, how can you discern a false religion? Let's get down to Revelation 17. This chapter gives us many clues about the characteristics of this false religion. Verse 1 to 5 says, "One of the 7 angels who had poured out the 7 bowls came over and spoke to me. 'Come with me,' he said, 'and I will show you the judgment that is going to come on the great prostitute, who rules over many waters. The kings of the world have committed adultery with her, and the people who belong to this world have been made drunk by the wine of her immorality.'"
Okay. So we're looking for a prostitute that the kings of the world committed adultery with, and they've been drunk by the wine of her immorality. It's funny how all of the religions that one says is false, or all of the denominations of Christianity who say, hey, you know, the rest of them are false, are using the same verses to say that theirs is false. You know, like, it is this whole thing of however you interpret this, what happens is that they make these grand sweeping interpretations that always come out to, I've got the true one, you've got the false one, I'm right, you're wrong. And every single one of them are doing that. You know, and not to mention that this comes from the Bible, the holy book of the religion that they're saying is the true one. Well, the Muslims are going to their book and saying that Islam is the true one because of passages from their book. So how do you tell who's got the true one? You can't. They just say, well, this is from the true book. How do we know it's true? It's because it's the book of the true religion. It's ridiculous.
So the angel took me in the spirit into the wilderness. There I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast that had 7 heads and 10 horns, and blasphemies against God were written all over it.
Right. So you know that a religion is false when you see a 10-headed, 10-horned beast with a lady riding on the back. Okay, I'm not sure I've seen that in any religion, but I'll keep my eyes peeled. I mean, come on. This is the most ridiculous standard test for religion I've ever heard in my entire life. And that includes the IRS. Like, seriously, it is so loose. Wow.
The woman wore purple and scarlet clothing, and beautiful jewelry made of gold and precious gems and pearls. In her hand she held a gold goblet full of obscenities and the impurities of her immorality. A mysterious name was written on her forehead: Babylon the Great, mother of all prostitutes and obscenities in the world.
All right, don't worry, people. We can spot the false religion because they have head writing. Yes, you heard it here first. Look, I have no writing on my head. It's very shiny, I will grant you that, but there is no actual writing on here. So obviously, I am not the whore of Babylon. So this is the whore of Babylon, right? And Babylon doesn't exist anymore, right? But people use it as a sort of, you know, it's immorality personified kind of thing. um, it is entirely possible and probable that they were writing this for the time when Babylon was kind of the aftermath of Babylon was kind of still a power in the area. It's kind of not anymore.
This chapter provides vivid imagery and symbolism depicting a mysterious woman seated on a scarlet beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. Interpreting this passage...
Oh, sorry, it only has 7 heads and 10 horns. Does it have 10 horns on each head, or is the total 10? So, like, some have 1, some have 2, maybe one with 3, maybe one with none. I have questions.
has sparked various debates among theologians and scholars throughout history. Some view the woman as representing a corrupt and deceptive entity, often associated with false teachings and idolatry. Others interpret the woman as symbolizing a worldly power that seduces people away from true faith.
So, if it can be interpreted in any number of ways, how the actual fuck does it allow you to tell the true religion from the false? Exactly. This is how you tell. And he's basically on, oh yeah, people have all kinds of different interpretations. Then it's bloody useless, isn't it?
Revelation 17, verse 10 to 13 says, "They are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen. 1 is, the other has not yet come. But when he does come, he must remain for only a little while. The beast who once was, and now is not, is an 8th king. He belongs to the 7, and is going to his destruction. The 10 horns you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom, but who for 1 hour will receive authority as kings along with the beast."
Yeah, this is the kind of, you know, head trip that Revelation is. It's all this kind of imagery and symbolism that we don't even know what the people at the time were referring to when they wrote it. We have no idea, right? So this is where it sort of gets trippy, you know, and sort of a fever dream. I think that it's sort of attributed to one of the apostles. I can't remember which one. But you know, it just talks about, it's almost like the prophecies of Notre Dame kind of thing. If you're unfamiliar with the prophecies of Notre Dame, there was a guy who was supposed to be a seer called Notre Dame, and he wrote down a book of these prophecies that were highly coded and very vague, and sort of was like, oh, the robin will perch upon a branch before flying, but its flight will be interrupted by an arrow. And people have interpreted these into real world events, but you know, multiple different people have interpreted to multiple events because they are so vague that you basically overlay what you want them to say on top of it. So, you know, it's a problem because they're not specific. And you can say, hey, the 7 is these 7 leaders from around the world, or the G7 kind of thing, you know, just, and this is what they prey on. I mean, it's the G6 now.
They have one purpose, and will give their power and authority to the beast. False religion straddles the back of this political beast, attempting to influence its decisions and control its direction. Soon, though, an amazing event will take place.
Ooh.
Revelation 17, verse 16 says, "The beast and the 10 horns you saw will hate the prostitute. They will bring her to ruin and leave her naked. They will eat her flesh and burn her with fire." In a sudden, shocking move, the world's political powers will turn on false religion and destroy her.
Okay. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. You know, like they'll turn on false religion. For somebody that says, oh, peace is good, we don't want war, he's kind of just really promoting the idea of attacking false religion, which is kind of weird, right?
What will prompt this action? The book of Revelation answers that God put it into their hearts to carry out his thought. Yes, God will call false religion to account for all the despicable acts she has committed in his name. He will use her political paramours as his instrument of execution. While this great event is yet to come, it points to one fact.
Well, people disagree on that. Other people think that it's happened already. Other people are saying it happened in the past. You know, it just, seriously. Seriously. They can never agree on anything.
Christians must beware of the false religion, its prophets, and its teachers. But how can you identify false religion?
That's what you were supposed to be answering. That's what you just said that verse answered. And now you're saying, oh, but how can we tell? That's just what you were saying. Fuck.
First, it teaches false doctrine. False doctrines refer to any teaching that contradicts the doctrine of Christ. This is not hard to discover. The doctrine of Christ teaches love among brethren. False doctrines do not teach that. Instead, it mirrors selfishness and hatred for one's brethren. Therefore, if there's any religion that teaches war instead of peace and tranquility, then such is a false religion. Its effect can be lethal on you as a believer. False religion also encourages immoralities. This is very prominent today, even in the Church of Christ. As the Bible puts it, there are now wolves among the sheep.
Yeah, so he's basically saying, hey, my interpretation of immoralities, my interpretation of this, that is the false religion. While other people disagree with that interpretation. So he's basically saying, mine's the true religion because I have interpreted the scripture to say it is. How do you know you have the right one when it contradicts somebody else saying they have the right one? How do you show that? But that never actually comes. It never actually appears. It just is, well, but mine's the right one because I'm following my interpretation of the Bible. And my interpretation of the Bible is correct because it's given to me by my correct religion, my true Christianity. So it's sort of a circular argument. Their interpretation of the Bible is true because the religion is true. And the religion is true because it matches their interpretation of the Bible.
Many churches are teaching a new kind of gospel, contrary to the Bible. A gospel.
Wow, is that a demon at church? Do they allow demons in church these days? Well, they'll accept anybody. This must be a universalist church. They'll accept anybody, including a flesh-beast demon. An AI flesh-beast demon, no less. It's blasphemy all the way down.
That encourages leniency and tolerance. A gospel that doesn't meet the standard laid out in God's word. These are shades of the last false religion. Christians need to watch out and steer clear of such gatherings. Another danger is the tendency to work against the authority of Christ and His word. This is where we must begin to watch out. False religions are aware of the truth. However, they will never accept it.
Oh, yeah. No, when you say false religions, you're basically like, oh, yeah, they know that our religion's right. Yeah, I don't think they do, sir. I don't think they do. This is sort of that pre-suppy, oh, well, everyone deep in their heart knows that God is real because the Bible says so. No, they really think they're right, my guy. They really think they're right. Like the Muslims think they're right. No, they don't know that you're right. No, they don't. Holy crap, no. I don't actually deep down in my heart think you're right. No, I don't. So this is what I say when presups start to do that. It's like you are really ruining your credibility right now. Because when you have a person in front of you who is saying, you know that my religion is correct, it's like, yeah, you've just ruined your credibility with me because I know that's untrue. And out of you and me, I know my thoughts better than you do.
Instead, they try to pull out his relevance. This is where we must hold fast to our salvation with fear and trembling. We must keep gazing on the truth of God's word. The more we do this, the more we identify falsehood and steer clear of it. They must not be able to destroy the ordinances of Christ.
Is that a arc reactor you've got there? Is that an arc reactor? Or is that some sort of AI angel? She's a false angel.
In our hearts. False religions are disobedient souls. Some might have even tasted the goodness of Christ in the past. However, they go astray and are ready to take as many as possible with them. Revelation 2, verses 20 to 21 says, "Nevertheless, I have this against you. You tolerate that woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophet. By her teaching, she misleads my servants into sexual immorality and the eating of food sacrificed to idols. I have given her time to repent of her immorality, but she is unwilling."
Yeah, so I don't know why you'd be like eating food sacrificed to idols. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Like, what's the idols? We usually don't sacrifice food to idols anymore. I thought, is there people around there sacrificing food to idols? If so, where? I don't know. What? And the Bible's like this. It'll basically blame women for everything. It's not a man's lack of character because they did something immoral with a woman. It's the woman's fault for being seductive and all this stuff. It really is a misogynistic book, because what it does is it places the choices of men, the blame onto women for that, for tempting them or making them feel a certain way. It's basically victim blaming is what it is. And it's disgusting.
This Bible verse gives a hint to what false religion perpetuates in the body of Christ. It will lead many astray. Hence, remember to guard your heart with all diligence. False religion also teaches a forever peace on the earth instead of talking about the coming judgment.
Why do I have to guard my heart? Okay, so if you're unaware, the Bible adheres generally to something called cardiocentrism, and it was a very popular idea in Greece, in Roman society, in the Levant. It's been a popular opinion for ages that the seat of your thought was the heart, right? Because this is before we really understood how the body worked. And where you had like a bad thought, or you had you were afraid, you felt it in your heart. So they thought that thoughts came from the heart. So when they're saying guard your heart, they're really saying, like, watch your thoughts, watch how you're thinking. So why would you guard your heart? Your heart just pumps blood around your body. We know this. Right? It makes much more sense now to say guard your mind. Right? Like, that makes sense. Guard your mind against people convincing you to do immoral things. But when they say guard your heart, that's actually what they mean. Because they thought that your heart was where those thoughts come from. Because they didn't understand the brain. And I wouldn't expect them to. They were living in, thousands of years ago. Of course they didn't understand that.
Since they are against the ordinances of Christ, they do not believe in his return. This is a blatant lie that many will believe because of their carnal desires. False prophets will deceive their hearts to think no one would judge their actions. This will then lead to more atrocities.
I'm sorry, I don't believe in Jesus coming back because of my carnal desires. How ridiculous is that? You know what I mean? Like, considering all of these Christians have been outed for doing really horrendous stuff, and I'm the one that has carnal desire. Yeah, sure. I'm sorry, but isn't Trump a Christian and all of this kind of, what are you talking about? But no, it's me that has sure.
The world. But then, the Bible says that
there's one group of people that do not shut up about sex. They do not shut up about it. Like sex and, the alluringness of women and all of this stuff. And guess what? It ain't the atheists. There's people obsessed with other people's genitalia, and it is not the atheists. It's the fucking Christians. It always is. They're always bringing it up. And, when you debate them, they'll always bring up the most ridiculous, perverted kind of hypotheticals. It is but we're the one with carnal desire. Sure.
After death comes judgment. The earth realm is an examination ground that determines your place in eternity. Now, here's the greatest danger. False religion can give rise to Christians in name only.
I'm sorry, is that Sino? Christians in name only? Like rhinos, Republicans in name only? They're Sinos? Christians in name only? Oh God. What the hell? Yeah, so apparently that's a thing. Okay, sure. Why not? Why the fuck not?
Many Christians might become pretenders, professing Christ with their mouths, but their hearts are far from him. They claim to follow Jesus, but false religion has captivated their hearts with its lies. This is where you must pray for the grace and empowerment to stand strong. You must not make room for false religion to overcome your heart and zeal for the Lord. We are in the end time. As the Bible says, many...
Yeah, I don't... I don't think we're in the end time. Yeah, things are crazy at the moment, but they were in the Cold War as well. Like the Cuban Missile Crisis was frigging crazy, you know. And yeah, it's crazy at the moment. I get you, but there's no reason to think that it's the end times. And the things that they pointed to, oh, there's rumors of wars and rumors of wars. Like, yeah, that's always happened. That's been a thing forever. Oh, men will seek knowledge. Really? That's your yardstick. Something that's always been happening of this is the end times. I just do not believe them in slightest.
Spirits are now in the world. What did it command us to do? It says we should test all spirits and know that which is true. Therefore, it is your responsibility to test what you believe. And that leads to what we should do to avoid becoming a victim of false religion. First, you need to stay away from false religion. Revelation 18, verse 4 says, "Then I heard another voice from heaven say, 'Come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins, so that you will not receive any of her plagues.'" To avoid becoming contaminated with false religion, you must do what this scripture says.
Yeah, do what I say. You know, don't listen to the other guy saying, I'm false religion. Listen to me, because I'm not the false religion, because the Bible says so. You know, I know they're using the Bible as well to call me a false religion. How does an outsider, how does somebody neutral tell the difference? Like, what methodology do you have when people are just arguing over interpretation? Because I don't see a way that they can determine it.
Separate yourself with things of the world. Many Christians do not know where they fall, so they become tossed about by every
Why don't you
wave
do
of
that?
doctrines.
My apologies.
This is not God's mind for us. You need to know your stand. Then, be prayerful before accepting and following a doctrine. This is crucial because many doctrines take snippets from Christ. They have a form of godliness, but deny the power of Christ.
I'm not sure I can listen to this for much longer, to be honest with you. Look, don't be spiritual, be mindful, right? Like, practice mindfulness. Like, you know, so mindfulness is a sort of mental state in psychology where you're not dwelling on anything, you're not thinking about the future, you're not thinking about the past, but just being present kind of thing. Just present in your own body without expectation or remembering the past or anything. And it's a very good idea to just sort of, you know, there's sort of a mindfulness is kind of like touching grass, right? Just enjoy the moment for a second. Or there's exercises you can do to be mindful kind of thing. You know, just feel your body, smell the smells around you. It's sort of that stop and smell the flowers or touch grass or just take a moment to just be and not sort of, you know, have all of these things. When I see this whole thing of, well, stop and be prayerful, it's like, well, you're still having these expectations. You're still beseeching your God. You're still thinking about the past because you want to change something. It's not really the same thing. And I think that being mindful is a lot better than being, you know, having this beseechment to a God.
They might even use the...
Yes, what? Keep an eye out for a female prostitute with a long name on one of her many heads. Yes. Presumably it'll be in English. That has not been decided. I don't know.
Bible, but preach it in the wrong way. That is why you must be prayerful. You need to commit yourself to the Word of God, and you must let God show you the truth about any type of church you want to attend, its leaders, and their doctrine. Lastly, you must be diligent in following Christ. False religion may be prevalent, but you can choose not to pledge allegiance to it.
Yeah, I would say that the channel that says that AI is evil and is a weapon of the devil and then proceeds to use it constantly in their videos, that might be a false religion. I don't know. I'm not a Christian, so I don't have a criteria, but that may be a false religion when they're insanely hypocritical.
The Bible says you will know the truth and it will set you free. When you diligently follow Christ, you will yearn to know about him through the Bible. Also, you will allow the ministry of the Holy Spirit in your life. The Spirit of truth will begin to guide you into all truth.
Okay, so are we seeing the levers in this video? They're the same levers that all Christians use. They're the same ones that all religions use. The levers are fear and hope. right? Like we had the fear earlier, and that's usually the first one to come. Make your targets afraid, just incredibly afraid for what's happening in the future. Then give them hope in order to. It's the oldest con in the book. It's basically fear and hope. All of these manipulative people use it. All of these tricksters use it. They will put somebody afraid that they might miss out, that somebody's going to be hurt, that their life will never amount to much, and then give them hope that that can be possible. And so whenever you're sort of seeing this sort of fear and hope thing mingled, it is manipulative, especially with the music in the background. And, they will change it from the sort of horror film music in the AI section to this sort of hopeful light music. It is all a manipulation. There is no reason to think that this is the end times. I think Wat mentioned climate change. Yeah, that's going to suck. Yeah. Climate change is going to do incredible damage if we don't do anything about it. Hopefully we can do something about it, but I don't think it's going to wipe out humans. I don't think it's the end times. It just will be an absolute devastating thing that is possibly very avoidable. But, we'll have to see what happens. Could be a problem. Might not be. We don't know, but why take that risk? I don't know. Anyway, I'm kind of over this AI voice.
This will safeguard your heart from every form of falsehood.
Yeah, and see the heart stuff. It's cardiocentric. It's basically your heart is the one that's going to be lied to. Use your heart, right? We don't use our heart for thinking. Now, intuitively, if you have a feeling in your heart, you can sort of, make intuitions off that. Not a good way to evaluate anything. Use your head, not your heart.
Matthew 7, verse 15 to 17 says, "Watch out for false prophets."
Okay, I'm really sick of this. I really am sick of this AI voice. So
Matthew 7.
I might call it here because I am absolutely sick to death of this frigging AI nonsense voice. Yeah, but this pattern I've noticed in doing these videos. I've noticed this pattern again and again and again and again. Like this fear and hope. You're not wrong, Wat? Look, you're not wrong. Like commercials will show somebody being embarrassed in public, for some reason. And the product is the answer to this problem. No, you've got a housewife that can't keep up with her kids and, is struggling and, where will I find the time to do my crocheting? But have you heard of Crochet Master? You can do all your crocheting in under a half an hour. This is the fear and hope kind of pull and push. And then they really do exaggerate it in these Christian videos. Look, AI, like literally an AI devil, sort of thingo. Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, there definitely is anger. Yeah, no, I won't thingo. But our anger is usually generated. Either it can be a fear response, sure. It definitely can be a fear response. It can be a response to your boundaries being violated. But I don't think that's how they try to get people into the religion kind of thing. I think it is that fear and stuff. Don't get me wrong. They definitely manipulate their followers through anger at things that do not affect them in the slightest. I totally agree. But I think trying to get people into the religion, they really do use this fear and hope push and pull, like the carrot and the stick. Like, oh, you're losing control of your life. You don't know where anything's going. The world is so confusing, but Jesus will show you the way. It can be so simple if you just put your faith in Jesus kind of thing. I think that's sort of the way they get people in. And I've noticed it a lot. It's really worrying. It's really worrying. It's like atheists are sort of going, hey, you may have a perfectly fine life if you're a Christian. It's not a big deal. There's certain things that worry us about religion, sure. But we're not just saying, hey, you're gonna destroy the world completely if you pray to Jesus. Like, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. It's not what we do. Okay, the power is all in that person's to, hey, make their life and their choices their own. We don't do that to people. You know, drum up this, you know, satanic threat of AI while using AI. Fear and anger are the primary emotions used in... Yeah, I don't know. I think that hope plays a good part. And, you know, don't get me wrong. It's kind of, the hope is secondary to that fear, you know, because people usually won't believe a you know, wild story and have hope unless there's some sort of fear element in it, you know, like, so the Nigerian prince scam, right? Like, send me $5,000. Usually it starts off with kind of, hey, you know, this is like this won't last forever. You might miss out on it. And I really need help. I might be killed. You know, all of this fear kind of stuff. Hope is 3D. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Anyway, but yeah, thank you for joining me, everybody. This was terrible. I don't know why I put myself through it. It was interesting. It was really hilarious to see a channel that is, I would say neck deep, but at this point they are just submerged in AI, basically denigrating AI as a devil's tool. There's something about it. And from the comments and from the likes and the amount of subscribers, I know that Christians are not looking at this critically. Like, none of them have gone, hey, you're using AI, but you're saying AI is bad. What's up with that? But think critically about this. If AI is bad, why would they use it? A hope is the third basic military. Well, I mean, maybe, but the Christians are definitely using the fear and hope, heaven and hell, you know, all of this stuff. That's definitely what they're using. But yeah, I think that AI is complicated, and AI is something that I would not even predict where it will go. You know, there's some hypotheses. I would make some guesses, but I don't think I would say, hey, I know how this AI revolution will turn out. It may be bigger than we think. It may be smaller than we think. We might find that AI is incapable of certain things. I don't know. But, you know, always be wary of the person that is telling you, oh, I know exactly what will happen with AI. I really would. Because the singularity sort of, nobody's got a good idea. And lots of people have been wrong about all kinds of other technological progress. It's, yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a blast. I hope you have a fantastic day. Be kind to yourself. Okay, be kind to yourself. And be kind to each other. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.